Another thing that was to articulate well, if it's quite a wordy piece of copy, is to almost purse your lips. It actually makes what's coming out of your mouth much cleaner and more articulate by pursing lips, which is another bizarre trick.
Well, let me ask you something about copy. Now, I've found that, and I'm sure it's true, that things that read well on the paper don't necessarily speak well.
True.
But yet, I'm sure you have people that are writing copy for you that don't understand that. Is there some sort of leeway or freedom to change things if you have to in order to make it speak better?
Hopefully, if you're in a session and you have a really good audio engineer, they will make that happen. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck with what you've got. And it's funny with copy, you can look at copy and it just looks like copy. The only time you find out that it's not right is when it doesn't work and you're stumbling. The best copy, you know when you've got great copy when it just flows out, it just comes out. That's great copy. And I could put two bits of copy together and I couldn't tell you why one works and one doesn't. But as soon as you start reading it, you just know, you just feel it. It just works.
Is there something to the punctuation that's used and how it's used that makes it easier? And the reason why I say that, Andrew, is because when I do voiceovers for one thing or another here, it's usually some of my product that I'm doing, my courses or whatever, I find that a comma in the right place will make all the difference because it indicates to me that you should take a breath here. And if you have to actually lay in another part, you can do it fairly easily.
Because I think when you see a piece of, like if you read a book and the punctuation's correct, that works really well with a book. But when you're reading copy, there's a different kind of punctuation, and sometimes you have a half a beat somewhere, which if it was a piece of written word, you wouldn't put it there. But it just makes more sense when you're saying it. It's all about and the other thing is giving air, it's like sometimes that piece of air between those two words makes those words really powerful. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than someone with copy that's just overwritten and then they wonder why it doesn't have the emotion they were hoping for. Where in actual fact, it's the old less is more theory. You can make some amazing statements using very little words, but a ton of emotion will come out of it.
Like you just did.
Yes, probably.
Okay, so what is the one thing that most people don't know about voiceovers and voiceover actors?
Well, it's funny, even people who do it, everyone's got their own skill base. And the smart ones are the ones who have a knowledge of just about all of it. I always work on the 80-20 rule of, 20% talent and 80%, BS, basically, which, it takes into consideration everything from selling and marketing and all that kind of stuff. I think I don't know whether a lot of people, especially in this country, understand the relevance of home studios. That hasn't really taken off the way it has in the US, which I find interesting, and I don't know quite why. There is a fear, and there is and I think sometimes Australia, for some reason, is a fearful country. People don't particularly like change, and that doesn't help.
The fear of what? Is it the perception that maybe because you're doing it at home in your own studio that it's not professional?
I think it's probably more, we're doing it from here, therefore you're taking work away from me.